in my opinion, I think the most effective thing we can do in this moment is just start finding these soldiers and helping them to resist. Because then over time, that will add up, and then that will start to form a movement, and then more soldiers in the military see these others standing up, and we have very recent examples. We have one soldier named Victor Augusto. He was a specialist. He served in Iraq. He was there for 13 months. He came back. He was stop-lossed, which means that the government decides we're not going to honor our end of the contract, and even though you're about to be discharged, we're going to send you to Afghanistan instead, because that's where they're getting these extra troops to send to Afghanistan. And he said, you know what, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to go. So he got a lawyer, he stood up, he was very public, and he articulated very clearly, I'm not going to be a party to war crimes, I'm not going to violate international law, I'm not going to violate the oath I swore as a soldier to support and defend the Constitution. And he stood up and he refused to go. Victor then was court-martialed. He was sentenced to 30 days in county jail. He got out about 3 weeks ago. I talked to him the day he got out, and I said, Victor, how was it? And he said, well, I slept at night. I could sleep with myself at night because I know I did the right thing. And then I asked him a little bit more, well, how was actually your jail time? And he said, actually, it was pretty relaxing. And this is the kind of guy that Victor is, and so many of these other resistors are, is that they know without a doubt that they're doing the right thing. They know they're going to have to pay for it with sacrificing either a month or a year or sometimes more of their life sitting in jail because they've done the right thing. But again, they get out, they're free men, and then what Victor's doing is he's now getting ready to go out to Fort Lewis in Washington State because there's another Afghanistan war resistor who also just got court-martialed for publicly refusing orders to go to Afghanistan, and he's in the brig at Fort Lewis, and Victor's going to go out there and start working on this guy's campaign to draw attention to the illegality of what's being done to him, that he's following his conscience, he's following international law, and that's what he's choosing to do with his life today. And again, if soldiers with so much to lose, losing their jobs, losing money, losing benefits, losing the esteem of their peers, are willing to stand up and put all that on the line simply because it's the right thing to do, again, what are we willing to do to support these guys? Because they're here, there's some of them here today. I really encourage you to go back in a few minutes to the IVAW table and talk to these folks and ask them directly what you can do to help support them, not wage these illegal wars. Because let us remember, this country is involved in 2 ongoing occupations, and there's a lot of kids here today, and if we as civilians, as people from the United States, don't start doing what we can do right now to end these occupations, they're still going to be going on when these kids grow up to be 17, 18 years old, the age that military recruiters like to find them and try to convince them that going to war is a good idea. So it's up to us right now to get really busy to start doing everything we can in our power to end both these wars. And I'm here to tell you that it is a very heartful, fun, invigorating thing to work directly with people, specifically people in the military, who are willing to put it all on the line to end these wars, take risks, and then even start to achieve some victories of people that are standing up, being discharged, and then becoming very powerful figures in the media and powerful figures in a young, budding, and growing GI resistance movement. It's a very exciting thing to be a part of, and so I encourage all of you to join us in that today. And you can start right now by going and talking with these veterans over at the IVAW table. So thanks everyone very much for coming out today.
October 17th in Boston is going to see a big anti-war rally. We're going to speak with Chris Hutchinson about it. 17th.
Well, Stan, October 17th is going to be really great. We have a really amazing opportunity to start building the anti-war movement to a really, strong level. We have students organizing on many different campuses. Really excited. A lot of students who became political around the Obama election are kind of starting to see the contradictions and, becoming more radicalized and more interested in radical politics. And they're coming around to organize for October 17th, building buses, building forums, educationals, and that sort of thing.
First thing, where in Boston is it exactly?
It'll be at Copley Square, right, downtown Boston.
What are some of the groups that are behind this?
Oh, you got a really broad array of groups, a lot of unity here with, you have United for Peace and Justice, you have Answer, you have, different socialist parties, different other radical groups in Boston, Stop the Wars Coalition in Boston. It's a regional demonstration, so you have groups from all over the region coming together to build this march.
What are some of the things people are saying, some of the demands?
Oh yeah, people want the troops home now from Afghanistan, from Iraq. They don't want any of these drones flying into Pakistan. They want the funding to Israel to stop so that they can't take hold of Gaza and ruin the lives of these Palestinians. They want funds for education and jobs, and not for these wars and occupations.
Is there a phone number or some kind of contact information if people are interested in this?
Yes, they could use my contact number, 860-989-1884, or you can contact Christopher.Hutch, Hutch, at gmail.com.
Last question. What do you personally think ought to be done about Afghanistan?
Oh, well, I think we need to remove the troops immediately from Afghanistan, let the people in Afghanistan determine their own future. Really, it's about controlling the oil, not so much about, the United States consuming all the oil, but having their hand on that spigot to keep, Russia, China, these other countries from taking the oil and using it for their own profits, and our soldiers are there basically protecting pipelines, a series of pipelines.
One of the speakers in Boston on the 17th is Zoya, one of the greatest people on the planet. He's one of the leaders of RAWA, an Afghan women's rights organization. Over the decades, RAWA has stood up for women's rights against the Soviets, the Mujahideen, the warlords, the Taliban, Karzai, and the U.S. occupation. It's just an honor to hear her speak. A final note, a Jewish judge working for the United Nations decided there was enough evidence to charge some Israelis with war crimes for what they did in Gaza last winter. The Palestinian Authority was going to press the case, but they were intimidated and forced to stop by the Obama administration. Revolting. That's our program for today. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller, and this is The Struggle.